Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is James Duggan with IGN, and I am here with Jonathan Rogers from Grinding Gear Games. We are checking out Path of Exile: The Awakening. Right now, we're going to talk about the Jewels system, not the skill gem system, but rather the Jewel system, which is applied to the massive passive skill system. So, Jonathan, take it away.
Yeah, so basically, when we were coming up with this expansion, we really wanted to find some way to turn our character customization system up to 11. We're already very well known for our passive skill tree, which is like this giant skill tree with tons of choices on it. But we were kind of like, okay, this system, while it's very expensive and there's a lot of options to do, we thought we could do better. And basically what we wanted to do was come up with the ability to have sockets in the tree that allow you to modify the tree itself. So the sort of most basic low-level version of this is these things here called jewels. And basically, normally when you allocate passives in the tree, you get various bonuses. That works very similar to any other game that has a skill tree. But we believe we're one of the first people to actually have the ability to socket items into the tree to do sort of custom passives. So here's an example.
These are items that drop.
So these are items that drop, right?
So
you can pick them up, you can trade them, you can modify them with our crafting system. So, like for example, if I didn't like this particular jewel, I could be like, oh yeah, I want to re-roll that one. That one's terrible. This one's actually
there. We go.
So and the nice thing is you can swap them out at any time. So if there's like a boss that you wanted to to prepare for, to fight,
right?
Unlike the skills on your normal tree, which you can't really change easily, these ones you can just swap in and out. Get prepared for the battle. So this is something that like that sort of basic type of gem is something that we were already preting happy with. And there's rares and there's also uniques and so on like that, which provide specific bonuses. So for example, there's a +2 to maximum number of skeletons thing. But we actually
actually showcased in our previous video when you were showing the summoning archer. How many times have you heard summoning archer in your life in reference to an RPG? 0, but the first time here today, and it was pretty awesome.
Right. So these are some pretty cool gems. But we thought, okay, what if we could actually make changes to the rest of the tree based on things that you socket into it? So here's our first example of that. So this here, strength from passives and radius is transformed to dexterity. So when I put this gem in there, it puts an area of effect on the tree. All of these things that used to be like strength now say +10 dexterity. So this is like a normal strength node, gives you +10 strength. Things inside here give you dexterity now. So this is like actually transforming the tree in a way that as far as I know, I've never seen another game sort of actually play with the physicality of a skill tree like that.
And for those of you who aren't necessarily familiar with the passive tree, it is kind of like a roadmap where you kind of choose directions and paths to go down to get to certain specific passive bonuses that either make or break your build. And so something like that would be completely build changing.
Right.
And you could, I would only assume, and this is left up to the theory crafters of your community, but I would only assume something like that would increase the amount of build diversity even more so than
well, that's definitely the plan. So, for example, like just to sort of show you a more extreme example, so here's some axe damage passives, here's like some one-hand damage passives, and I've got this one here that says melee weapon type modifiers and radius are transformed to bow modifiers. So for this one, okay, let's say I'm a bow character and I've used all the bow passives already in the tree. I want to get more than that, or else I'm playing a character that isn't even near the bow area. Now I can just like transform these axe passives into bow ones.
Fantastic.
But the interesting thing about this is like there are passives on the tree. Like for example, for daggers, there's like passives for like, it adds poison damage to daggers or whatever. That wasn't even an option for bows before. Now you can add things that were never even intended for bows. So that's sort of one example of areas where we're changing the tree's sort of structure on a more sort of basic level. But then we sort of, when our designers had this radius concept, we all these other ideas started springing out. So, for example, let's have a look at this next gem here, which is what we call a threshold gem. So the idea here is if at least 60 intelligence is allocated within the radius, enemies can have 1 additional curse. Okay. So this is basically like an idea of, okay, you have to sort of pay a price to use this one of allocating things in the air, other things in the area that you may not necessarily need, or maybe if you do need those things anyway, then that is just positive for you. So we can do really nice bonuses on these threshold gems, and you have to remember as well that you can have more than one of these in your tree, right? Like you can take the same item and have in different sockets. So you can really stack these things up for.
So you're investing with passive points there to get a bonus that is potentially build changing.
Yeah, exactly. And then another one here is a sort of a slightly different take on on that of you get 1% increased chaos damage per 10 intelligence from allocated passes and radius. So this is the more intelligence you have, the better it gets.
Right.
I believe those balance numbers aren't final, so I think that's going to get buff actually. But I mean, then we start to get into the really weird and interesting ones. So you haven't really seen anything yet. This one here, bonuses from allocated passes and radius apply to minions instead of you.
Wow. So all your summons.
So all your summons get the things from your passive tree. So now you can gift basically a portion of your passive tree to your summons.
That one goes very well with the additional summons.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So this is a way to buff your minions in a way we've never really seen before, because you can give them really weird stats that are available on the tree.
Yeah,
exactly, depending upon where you place it on the tree. And these are stats that minions were never able to get before. So we're really excited for that one. We don't even know what players are probably going to do with that. There'll probably be some crazy
break
build.
The game.
Yeah, exactly. Well, at the end of the day, people find it fun to break the game. So we're trying to provide them the tools to do that.
That's absolutely fair.
And then another one here, which I particularly love, is this one here called Intuitive Leap. So this one says passes and radius can be allocated without being connected to the tree.
Wow.
So this allows you basically put it in there. I would normally have to allocate all these passives to get to the ones over here,
so
for example.
You can just pick the build changing one straight
I can just
away.
grab these these big nodes, these big notable nodes, without having to get the prerequisites.
So are these jewels random drops? Or?
So these jewels here, the ones that are just that don't have a radius, those are random drops, and these ones here are called uniques. So basically, they're specifically designed, but they still the values on them can still roll different different numbers and so on. So I mean, the thing is, these jewels, when our designers got a hold of this concept, they went absolutely nuts, and so there's going to be 20 plus unique jewels at the start of the beta, and then by the end of the beta, there should be even more. We're hoping for lots and lots of them, and so that's just something that. It's to quote Jonathan Blow here, right? He said, you can tell a good idea when it feels like you're just picking up all the gold that's on the ground. And that's what I felt like with this idea. We were just okay, all these ideas came to mind, and we're like, wow, there's so much here. So, the concept of modifying the tree is a really awesome one, and we're really happy to have it in the expansion.
Yeah, there's certainly a million different ways to modify and create a unique build in this game, but this is one more, and it seems like a pretty interesting and diverse one. And Jonathan, thank you so much for showing us the jewel system in Path of Exile, The Awakening. For all things Path of Exile, keep it right here on IGN.